probably we're not in a 4-year cycle. In my opinion, this is going to be crypto's very first 5-year cycle. And it's even possible that it goes beyond that, potentially 5, 6, maybe even 7, who knows? Only time can tell. All I know is we're heading into easing conditions, and easing conditions where the action happens for crypto. In my opinion, the mania, the retail, the onboarding, and all that excitement is still yet to come. There's a common belief that certain market patterns are set in stone, that what happened before will happen again on a predictable schedule. But what if the pattern everyone's following is actually based on a complete misunderstanding of what caused it in the first place? Today, I'm going to walk you through why one of the most popular market timing frameworks might actually be completely flawed, and what the data actually tells us about market cycles. Quick disclaimer before we dive in: if you are watching this from the UK, USA, or UAE, this content is not directed at you and you should not watch my videos. Only use licensed products regulated in the country which you are watching the video from. Without further ado, as always, sit back, relax, and get ready for the video. For those of you who aren't familiar, there's been a remarkably consistent pattern where major bull runs and bear markets have occurred roughly every 4 years with striking precision. That pattern has held multiple times. There was a major bull market in 1 year, then exactly 4 years later, another major bull market occurred. And 4 years after that, yet another bull market happened. The same pattern appears for bear markets. They've kicked off at 4-year intervals with impressive consistency over time. When you have a pattern that's been 100% accurate historically, you can see why so many traders follow it religiously. It's really difficult to just ignore something with that massive track record. The common explanation attributes this pattern to a specific technical event, a scheduled reduction in the supply that happens every 4 years. The theory makes sense that on the surface, if supply decreases while demand stays the same or increases even, prices should therefore rise. Basic economics, we all know it. However, there is a big problem with this theory. First, the supply reductions have gotten smaller over time. Every reduction where major percentage changes, but recent ones are much less significant, yet the price movements stayed dramatic. Second, there's a powerful counter example. Another major asset went through a supply reduction event that was far from more dramatic, reducing new issuance by approximately 99% rather than just 50%. If the supply theory were correct, this should have caused an even more dramatic price increase. Instead, that asset underperformed significantly. This strongly suggests that supply dynamics alone cannot explain a 4-year cycle pattern. When you dig a little bit deeper into the data, a different picture emerges. Every single major bull run coincides with massive expansions in global liquidity conditions. In the first bull run, central banks launched massive monetary stimulus programs. Global liquidity flooded markets, real interest rates became favorable for risk-taking, new access channels opened for capital flows, and business cycle indicators showed strong expansion. In the second major bull run, multiple central banks ran large-scale asset purchase programs. The US dollar weakened significantly, which is liquidity positive. Global growth synchronized across regions, and new infrastructure dramatically improved market access, and credit conditions were extremely favorable. In the third major bull run, we saw unprecedented monetary fiscal stimulus during a global crisis. Real yields turned deeply negative, high record global liquidity levels emerged, and massive expansion of accessible infrastructure occurred, and institutional access channels opened significantly. This had a massive impact. Similarly, every major bear market coincided with liquidity tightening. In the first bear market, the central banks announced tapering of stimulus dollar. Strength increased with its negative liquidity, major infrastructure collapsed, and access channels were restricted. In the second bear market, interest rates increased multiple times, quantitative tightening began, central bank stimulus programs ended, the dollar strengthened significantly, and growth slowed while credit spreads widened. In the third bear market, we saw the fastest interest rate increases in 40 years, aggressive quantitative tightening, real yields turned positive, the dollar strengthened sharply, and multiple leverage-related collapses occurred. Here's where it starts to get really interesting. When you chart global year-over-year liquidity conditions, you see massive spikes that align perfectly with every major bull run. And here's what's crucial about this chart. It contains zero crypto data. It's purely measuring global liquidity from traditional markets. Yes, it perfectly captures the 4-year cycle. This isn't coincidental. It's evidence that macro liquidity conditions, not supply mechanics, drove those cycles. The 4-year pattern actually traces back to the policy response following the 2008 financial crisis. That massive intervention created a liquidity echo that played out in roughly 4-year intervals. But then something unprecedented happened that disturbed this pattern entirely. In 2020, we saw the global pandemic response, and it created an entirely different policy environment with unprecedented stimulus on global scale. Historic monetary expansion, inflation spiraling to multi-decade highs, followed by the most aggressive tightening in decades. This massive policy change went from extreme easing to extreme tightening. Fundamentally, of course, this will change the cycles. The current market environment looks nothing like previous cycles. In the past, markets were driven by huge liquidity bursts, retail mania, and FOMO behavior, and also synchronized with business cycle peaks. The current environment is driven by structured institutional flows, narrative-based positioning, and expansion of new access channels like ETFs. The business cycles haven't actually peaked the same way, and liquidity conditions are still pretty limited in my opinion. The mechanism is totally different nowadays. Instead of liquidity-driven retail frenzy, we're seeing steady flows from previously inaccessible capital pools, particularly older demographics with significant wealth who now have easy access through familiar channels. Many experienced market participants have noticed that this cycle clearly feels different. Probably you're thinking the same and noticing the same yourself as well. It's not the same as it used to be. Expected year-end rallies didn't happen. Different sectors behaved unprecedentedly. Classic signals haven't really played out as expected, and the market structure and participation patterns look different from previous cycles. This isn't just sentiment. The underlying conditions really are different. The current macro indicators show that liquidity is neutral to limited, not the massive expansion of previous cycles which we have seen. The business cycle shows not big peak like previous cycles. The policy environment also is at the tail end of tightening, not post-easing. Access to infrastructure shows strong expansion through ETFs and initial adoption. However, we're seeing one or two conditions, not the full package which we saw previously, which resulted in those massive market booms. The markets are now ultimately at a crossroads. You have to decide, do you follow timing patterns based on a calendar schedule, ignoring all the macro conditions that actually drove previous cycles, or do you look at the complete picture and recognize that conditions don't necessarily match what happened before? Importantly, we're not heading into tightening, we're heading towards easing. Rate cuts are expected over the coming year. Regulatory changes might improve liquidity conditions. Infrastructure keeps expanding. Corporate fiscal policies may become more favorable. Massive pools of capital in money markets fund will need to flip returns, and global central banks seem to be moving towards stimulus. This easing cycle appears to be ahead, not behind. This suggests that we might be entering an extended cycle, possibly, potentially the first 5 or 6 year or even 7-year cycle, who knows, that we've ever seen in this kind of market. The traditional 4-year framework might not apply anymore because the core drivers have fundamentally changed. The evidence strongly suggests that previous cycles were driven by macro liquidity conditions, not supply mechanics. Those conditions lined up with 4-year intervals because of the 2008 crisis response. The 2020 policy response broke that echo pattern, and current conditions don't really match previous cycle peaks. And easing conditions, when the market stiffly performed best, are still ahead. If you're making timing decisions based on only a calendar schedule without considering these conditions, you may be using an outdated map for changed terrain. The key takeaway you need to learn from this video is just because something has happened at regular intervals, it doesn't mean the interval itself is the cause. Understanding that the true underlying drivers, liquidity conditions, monetary policy, credit availability, business cycles provide a much more robust framework for analysis than relying on timing patterns alone. Markets are complex systems influenced by policy, flows, sentiments, infrastructure, and countless other factors. Oversimplifying to a single timing mechanic really misses the reality of how these systems actually work. Look, I understand the appeal for 4-year cycles. It has been right every single time. It's difficult to ignore that track record, but when nothing else about this cycle matches previous ones, the liquidity conditions are completely different. When the business cycle looks nothing like before, when we're at the tail end of tightening instead of coming off easing, you have to ask whether you're confident or just basing everything off a calendar. We have not just gone through unprecedented easing cycle. We haven't gone through an easing cycle at all. We're at the tail end of tightening cycle. We're about to head into an easing cycle, which should take some place in 2026. That's when we're going to really start seeing financial conditions improve, cheaper credit, and more abundance to liquidity, and the business cycle will start to heat up. All of that takes place in 2026, where we have rate cuts continuing, changes to regulations, and continued expansion of flows infrastructure into crypto products. So you need to make a decision. In my opinion, this is going to be crypto's very first 5-year cycle. And it's even possible that it goes beyond that, that a 6 or 7-year cycle is, of course, possibly. I don't really know exactly. All I know is we're heading into easing conditions, and easing conditions where the action happens for crypto. In my opinion, the mania, the retail, the onboarding, and all that excitement is still yet to come. Of course, none of this is investment advice. If I'm saying anything in this video, please consult your financial advisor. I am not a licensed financial advisor. And of course, if you're watching this in the UK, USA, or UAE, please do not watch my content. Don't engage with my content. Don't click any of the links, and always contact authorized financial advisor in your country of residence where you're living. Thanks so much for watching today's video, guys. I hope it helped you to understand how these cycles are working, and that probably we're not in a 4-year cycle, potentially 5, 6, maybe even 7, who knows? Only time can tell. As always, guys, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.